What's dark and twisted will creep you out, has an interesting premise, kick-ass characters, and a friggin' creepy pregnant spider lady.
Poison? Here's to my love! Oh, true apothecary! Your drugs are quick.
No, Chris Woodings poison.
Not the normal find in the teen section. With a cover like this, you're either going to buy it right away or run away screaming.
Her unimpressed stare gives just a hint at the creepiness inside. We start our story off with the heroine herself, Poison.
Once upon a time, there was a young lady who lived in the marsh, and her name was Poison. She was an odd-looking girl, pale and slender, with long black hair that fell symmetrically to either side of her head. Her face was an oval, her forehead high, but her chin narrow, her lips thin, and her nose perfectly straight.
Right from the get-go, we don't have your normal character, and just to prove that she's strong-willed, in contrary, a few pages later she gives herself the name Poison.
Poison lives in the village called Gill, which doesn't really have any source of entertainment.
No movie theaters, no bookstores, no theme parks, no skate parks, or any type of tourist attraction in general.
She lives in a swamp.
And we all know swamps aren't exactly prime real estate.
All of us were swamp. Well, the king said it was daft to build a castle on a swamp. But I built it all the same, just to show him. It sank into the swamp, so I built a second one. That sank into the swamp. So I built a third one. That burned down, fell over, then sank into the swamp. But the fourth one stayed up.
But in all seriousness, the swamp sucks. It's dangerous, stuff tries to eat you, the food is nasty, and more likely than nothing, you're going to not live to a decent age.
Like Poison's mother. Like all fairy tale mothers, she dies of "my husband wants to screw a younger woman, thus traumatizing my child" disease.
But it says right there she died of swamp lung.
No, it doesn't. But anyways, Poison's father remarries to Snapdragon, a horrible, cold-hearted young woman.
Poison and Snapdragon don't get along too well.
But the one person Poison truly loves is her sister Azalea.
So yes, you guessed it. On one night, Azalea is kidnapped and replaced by a changeling.
Kidnapped? By who?
The fairies.
I'm so scared.
You should be.
Traditional fairy lore is not the Tinkerbell crap people seem to think it is. There are many different explanations for the origin of the good people.
To sum it up, they like to steal babies, replace them with changelings, and then probably do ungodly things to them.
And now you know.
With the help of the local librarian.
Wait, there's a library? In the swamp? Wouldn't all the books, just rot?
Stop questioning the plot. So with the help of the local librarian, Poison sets off to save her little sister.
Some characters are like tofu. Kristen Stewart. They taste like whatever you put them with, which can also mean they have something for everyone, but they never bring anything new to the table. Poison is a character for everyone, but she has something original to her.
Poison is like cake. Wait. No. Poison is like a cream puff.
Look, you know what?
The usual generic pastry on the outside, but surprisingly good and complicated and charming on the inside. Or like pie. I like pie.
Are you hungry or something?
But anyways, Poison has some kind of character trait that makes her relatable to everyone in some way.
She's like the Rambo of self-rescuing princesses. She has a whole lot of balls, guts, wits, and a lot of do-it-yourself juice.
You finished? Great speech and all, Doc. You had him riveted. But didn't you forget something?
What?
Your secret stuff.
And like all great heroes, their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. Poison needs to realize she can't do it all herself.
Just look at the Greeks.
Odysseus, Perseus, Theseus, a lot of yusses. And every single one of those bums let me down, flatter than a discus. None of them could go the distance. And then there was Achilles. Now, there was a guy who had it all. The build, the foot speed. He could jab. He could take a hit. He could keep on coming. But that first slug in the heel of his! He barely gets nicked there once and kaboom! He's history.
So Poison spends the rest of the story learning how to overcome her own need for solitude.
Hey, Red.
No.
Guess what?
No.
Guess what time it is?
No.
It's moral time!
No!
Friends are the greatest treasures! For me?
No.
As Poison collects companions, they become her family. Bram, who wants to hope for the rest of his life, and Peppercorn, the only damsel in distress in the entire novel, play sidekicks to our kick-ass heroine.
And while Poison doesn't exactly adopt these characters as her family, they seem to adopt Poison.
Now, this book doesn't come without its scaries, and God are they terrifying.
We have our trifecta of terror, the Scarecrow, the Bone Witch, and the friggin' creepy Spider Lady.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
First we have the Scarecrow, who puts you to sleep and steals your baby. If you hear his sleeper bell ringing, you probably want to do something quick. But it's nice that Chris Wooding also recognizes that scarecrows make excellent torches.
And while the Scarecrow has been something that has been done in a lot of fiction and film, it always seems to reinvent itself and never seems to get old or less scary.
My head, I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching if I only had a brain. I'd unravel every riddle for any individual in trouble or in pain.
With the thoughts you'd be thinking you could be another Lincoln if you only had a brain.
Oh, I will tell you why.
Quickly following our Scarecrow, we have the Bone Witch.
Why didn't the chicken cross the road?
Because then he would have had to go through the Bone Witch's house, and you wouldn't want to do that. So let's break this down. Take your neighborhood cat lady, make her as blind as a bat with the sense of smell of a bloodhound. Now, replace her cute little kitties with two massive hellhounds. Give her the cannibalistic appetite of the witch from Hansel and Gretel. Voila, the creepy old hag.
And to top it all off, you get to spend the night in her house to get to the land of the fairies.
And the last character from our band of terror is the Spider Lady.
Remember Samara from The Ring? Well, she got bit by a radioactive spider and is now about to have a kid.
And remember, kids, there is nothing more terrifying than a woman about to pop, especially when she can crab walk on the ceiling and rotate her head 180 degrees.
Moving on.
Good idea.
Well, this is a classical hero narrative where the main character has a series of obstacles to face. The fact that these three antagonists are so well written creates a tension that you don't normally see in modern fairy tales. Not only does Wooding have a tap to primal terror, it doesn't matter how desensitized you are to the elements of horror, there's at least one character in here that'll make you want to plug in a nightlight and pray to some deity that they haven't taken roost in your closet for the night.
And even though each villain has their own playground of nightmare-induced euphoria, the whole novel is just one barrel of rabies-carrying monkeys after another.
Instead of the typical fairy story adventure, which functions on the pattern of balancing adventure with moments of safety, in the universe of Poison, the characters never manage to catch a break.
The story just manages to go from bad to bedwettingly terrifying.
Through the entire book, you constantly fear that something can happen to any of the characters, thanks to this lovely little quote by the librarian at the beginning of the novel.
Poison's greatest virtues is that nothing is certain. But for someone who's tired of the damsel in distress cliches and Tinkerbell fairy stories, this is like the nasty plunge of fairy stories.
This book should be on any fantasy lover's bookshelf and deserves its spot on our must-read list.
So, we hope to see you after the credits for...
Stop! Spoiler time!
It's getting late to give you up. I took a sip